Hello and welcome to the latest AEC TechTV show. My name is Aarni Heiskanen and I'm a construction innovation agent based in Helsinki, Finland.
Hello, I'm Paul Wilkinson. I'm a freelance journalist, a blogger, writer and technology consultant, and I'm based in London.
AEC TechTV is a weekly video magazine show looking at technologies used in today's architecture, engineering and construction industries.
And coming up in today's show, in the first of two news updates, Aarni looks at some news stories that have been interesting him. Mitch Hughes introduces ViZZ. I talked to Zulfikar Adamu about using virtual reality for safety and health. Holobuilder give their advice on using 360-degree cameras on site. Aarni talks to Bruce Orr of ProNovos. And we have some news about Autodesk and Bentley, plus our usual events updates.
Thank you, Paul. And once again, we are including more news items in our show. I've done a quick review of 3 recent news stories. In this week's episode, I want to share news about virtual reality as an AEC business tool. Among the VR applications that are useful in the AEC sector are virtual meeting and collaboration platforms. And one of them is Glue. It is a platform that takes advantage of immersive 3D graphics, VR and cloud computing. It is intended for professionals who need global remote access to a shared team space for efficient collaboration. The environment in which you work can be any of the spaces that Glue provides, or, for example, a design model of a building or an environment. I have tested Glue. Being in a virtual meeting space as an avatar with other avatars becomes amazingly natural. You soon forget that you're in a virtual environment. The interaction and use of the various tools that the platform provides is intuitive. Last week, I happened to watch a live videocast from Facebook. It was the announcement of Oculus Quest 2, the next generation of all-in-one untethered VR. Today I talked to Matti Pohak of Glue, who told me that they've already had Oculus Quest 2 for a while. He saw it as a major upgrade. In fact, he likened it to the first iPhone. The new display of Oculus Quest 2 has 50% more pixels than the original Quest. It comes with new touch controllers with improved ergonomics, and the processor is powerful. In all, this upgrade should make VR more affordable and useful to more users, not just gamers. But VR can also run in your web browser. The experience is perhaps not as immersive as with a headset, but nevertheless, it offers many benefits. A couple of days ago, I had a chat with Lawrence Koch of Hughes. Hughes allows designers to share 3D models interactively with clients, users, and others. They can walk around in the model as avatars and point out and discuss design issues. Hughes runs in a web browser and on a smartphone. I think that the business value of VR is evident. I've heard examples of how the use of VR has revealed design flaws and speeded up decision-making and design processes. It has provided big ROI immediately. Lowering costs, technological advancements, and easier applications will make virtual and augmented reality an essential technology in the near future of the AEC industry.
Next in today's AEC TechTV, Aarni has been talking to Mitch Hughes about ViZZ, a solution which enables its users to collaborate using artificial intelligence, building information models, and conventional information.
Hello, I'm Mitch Hughes, founder and CEO of ViZZ. Several years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night pondering something. What if we could visualize any form of information, and what would this look like? Surely it wouldn't require having to learn how to use program after program, memorizing directory structures, or recalling file names. But to accomplish this, it would require a new structure, a new database that didn't have any limitations, which adapts to the way I want to live and work with computers. So hundreds of thousands of man-hours later, we have ViZZ. What ViZZ does is visualize data and literally anything three-dimensionally, organizing information and objects in a relationally based and intuitive way, combining our input with the power of AI. In this manner, ViZZ contains all information about a project, no matter what program it's sourced from, allowing both professionals and laymen to access all details, data, and history in one place. Things change continuously during the building's design and construction, but with ViZZ, all your emails, 3D models, notes, files, RFIs can be kept in a secure project hub, easily accessed and shared with all the members of your AEC team. This creates a single source of truth, ensuring that all players are working with the correct and updated information, the same information, regardless of the source. And this information collection continues throughout the building's life cycle. Architects, engineers, contractors, and owners can now collaborate inside or outside of the building model, improving efficiency while also saving time and money. Let us show you how with ViZZ.
When you need to visualize buildings or properties and collaborate with your team, you need a product that's easy to use and accessible to everyone involved. ViZZ is the first computing solution enabling users to digitally mirror projects and environments from a multitude of programs while simultaneously associating and organizing the information. ViZZ is so simple and powerful. There's no need for file naming or remembering where things were stored. Files can be located based on their relationship to other information or by using their characteristics. Living, places, things, time, actions, communications, knowledge, and groups. You also need a secure project hub containing all relevant documents, emails, files, and models in one location, accessible to you and your entire team. Sharing information is easily accomplished with ViZZ with permissions created specifically for each person. If someone leaves the team, their permissions can be turned off, keeping your information secure. A typical pain point for those involved in the development of a project, architect, designer, engineer, contractor, is ensuring all data and information is stored for the building's entire life cycle, allowing for easy communication and collaboration within the space before, during, and post-construction. ViZZ allows all contributors to create, assign, and track tasks for anyone on the team. Users can even pin notes to a specific location within the digital twin. Historically, this kind of information was stored in a multitude of platforms, chains of emails, or not tracked at all. With ViZZ, users have a historical record of all communication and notes about a development, ensuring the building is constructed as agreed. With ViZZ's 3D modeling, you can experience all aspects of a proposed building with a digital twin. Visualize the site plan as well as the proposed exterior and interior of the building. Its layering capabilities allow users to take a holistic look at the structural and mechanical components or view each separately, depending on the need at a given time. Let's take a look inside this warehouse. While navigating the interior, proximity signs can pop up to indicate your location as well as any related notes, tasks, or change requests. Models can be utilized to test new furnishings, materials, and colors within the space, letting you try before you buy and helping get final sign-off on interior updates. What's more, with our ability to pull in building longitude and latitude, we can show surrounding buildings and roads to understand truck traffic and transportation availability, giving a true picture of the whole building in relation to its environment. ViZZ can enable you to view your model with various degrees of photorealism. And as it was built on a gaming engine, the program is inherently simple and intuitive, meaning that new team members can be proficient in no time. We paint a complete picture during your project's entire life cycle, helping you know it all. This is ViZZ. We're not just an evolution, we're a revolution. For more information, go to ViZZ3D.com.
That was Mitch Hughes there talking about ViZZ. Earlier this month, I read about research being undertaken at London South Bank University looking at the use of virtual reality and serious gaming to support safety and health initiatives. I talked to Zulfikar Adamu about the research he's been doing and about how he hopes to launch a product in 2021. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Dr. Zulfikar Adamu, and I'm an associate professor of strategic IT in construction at London South Bank University in the UK. My background originally is architecture, where I moved more into civil building engineering, especially the IT side of things, computational design and modeling and simulation side of engineering of buildings.
And you've been developing a product in the world of virtual reality?
I have quite a few products I've developed, but I guess the one we're talking about right now is the virtual reality game, serious game for health and safety in construction.
What's the key differentiator of this platform in your view?
The use of virtual reality for health and safety is not new, actually. It's been going on for years. What makes it unique is that I've looked at the aspect of health and safety and how people respond and how people behave in safety. It's very personalized. No two people behave the same way, given the same hazards. So what this game does, uses personality, your traits, your personality trait, what makes you unique as an individual. So one of the first things you do with the game is to answer some questions, 58 to 60 questions that just more or less capture your thought process and the way you think, the way you behave as a person. And these are standardized tests, by the way. It's not something I came up with myself. So there's some standardized tests based on what we call the OCEAN model. OCEAN stands for openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So when you answer these questions, we kind of have an idea of what kind of person you are. Maybe your personality might be taking risks with moving objects, or maybe you might not be reading signs and stuff like that. That's what makes it unique, more or less, bringing personality into the way we test for health and safety, which you can't do, by the way, without VR. But in this case, we're using VR as a platform to achieve that learning outcome.
And what platform are you using and why did you choose it?
I'm using a platform called Unity, which is very popular for people who do independent development like myself. And so I'm using Unity because it's free, but also because it's most widely used VR development platform. It has got a lot of assets and a knowledge base that you can always go to when you have questions. But also most importantly, because the programming side of it, the scripting, it's based on Microsoft C#, which is a language, it was the first programming language that I learned myself. So it was all very important for me to use a platform that I could work with programmatically.
And how far has your research advanced to date?
I could say that right now we've more or less successfully piloted the game to the extent that we have a minimal viable product, an MVP. This is something to say, look, we have something that makes sense, and we're able to implement the questionnaire. And when you log in, you answer the questions, and we have the basic interface that measures your health and safety scores. Because remember, it's a game; it's a serious game, which is a genre of gaming, but it's not for entertainment. This is for serious learning outcomes. So we have that interface that measures your health and your safety and some standard hazards. People tend to know more about safety, which is, someone falls down from a ladder, breaks a leg, that's safety. Not many people know too much about health, actually, which is a bigger problem. Health is when you have, for example, vibration issues or noise or silicosis or some lung infested thing that doesn't show up until maybe it's when you're 70. So the health issues are not well known. They tend to be prominent later on in life. So this game, more or less, apart from testing you based on your personality, can measure how you respond to safety issues as well as how you respond to health issues. For example, if you were to move into a construction yard and there was supposed to be some dust there will be a sign to say, put on your nose mask or whatever. Not for COVID, but for dust and whatever. So if you don't put in your nose mask, obviously because you didn't read the sign, the game will notice that you didn't read the sign. And how do we know that? Because when you read the sign, there will be a minimum amount of time that you will say, yes, you actually read that signage. Similarly, if you're going to another part of the site where there was a lot of noise, there will be signage that says, put on your earmuffs or whatever. So if you don't look at the sign, we can have every right to assume you didn't read the sign, which means when you go into that room or that space, some loud noise will come up and which will be very uncomfortable at first. And then there'll be some feedback to say, aha, that's why you're supposed to read the sign. And we know you didn't read the sign because we tested your personality and we know your host personality, you don't tend to read signs. So again, so that game will capture your reaction, but at the same time feed it back into your personality to validate itself or to make some necessary adjustment, because the last thing we want is for you to come back to play the game again next time and then you game the game, which means you know that when you go into that room, you're going to get some loud noise. So the game will change itself dynamically. You're not going to get that loud noise when you go to that room next time. It might be something else. Because in the real world of gaming, when you know, for example, those who play shooting games, for example, you know, when you come around the corner, there's a sniper that will shoot you from that angle. Once you know that, you can trick the game. So we try to avoid that so that people do not game the game, like I said. We make it much more unpredictable. I mean, the next time you start the game, it might even be snowing, it might be raining, you might be on a scaffold, it's shaking or whatever, or you might be in an excavation area or underground tunnel or somewhere. So there's no way of predicting what's going to happen or where you're going to have that noise or dust or a rickety ladder or whatever. So that's what makes it interesting, actually.
And who have you been collaborating with in your research?
Basically, the research was sponsored by the Washable Company of Constructors, the WCC. They were the ones who gave me the initial seed funding. But then it's been managed by the BRE up to this stage, where we were just looking to pilot it successfully to be able to integrate it into construction projects, and also maybe universities and colleges where they teach construction courses, where people can use the game also for learning about how health and safety works, rather than, you know, death by PowerPoint or just watching a YouTube of a crane falling down. The sponsors have been helpful in this regard to get us to this stage. Now we're trying to move it to the next level where we can actually maybe bring it to the industry in form of a commercial product of some sort.
So you're looking for new contributors?
Yes, I'm looking for new contributors. I would, as much as possible, like to work with the industry, but also there could be other sponsors who may be from some regulatory bodies. If I think about, let's say, Construction Industry Training Board, the CITB, you know, they are the ones who organize the SMSTS. I don't know if you know that test, the Site Management Safety Training thing. It's a 5-day training that you do on health and safety. They give you a certificate that lasts for 5 years. So I've been to one of those courses, so I know that, yes, death by PowerPoint can happen when you are trying to learn about health and safety. So if those kind of organizations, the Industry Training Board or the construction companies, maybe even educational organizations or whatever, stakeholders might come together as some sort of consortium, this would be ideal. One of the things I would be interested in is not just using this game in the UK, but also around the world. If we were to make it web-based, which is possible, you know, many VR games you can log into your Steam or Facebook gaming platforms now, where your head-mounted display and play games with people across the world. So you can just imagine if you have the same construction site, how would a worker from Brazil compared to another worker from South Africa and from China in terms of how they reacted to the same, you know, hazards and the rest of that. So it's not just about personality, we can look at cross-cultural impact. I want a partner that will help us look at this as a thing that can change global construction industry.
Over what time scale might this product come to market?
Based on what we've done so far, if you have the right kind of funding, I think we could be ready to put it in the market in 6 months, because right now it runs on my gaming machine. And like I said, eventually these sort of games, you want to be able to deploy them to the web. You want to be able to put them on Apple TV and Android TV so people can play them at home, or even just log onto their browser and use the keyboard or mouse and play the game. So it has to be web-based eventually. So that requires a lot of optimization, which I've not had the time and not necessarily even the skills to do for now, to be honest. So 6 months could be ready.
Thank you, Zulfikar Adamu.
You're welcome. And thank you for having me here.
And that was Dr. Zulfikar Adamu talking about virtual reality and serious gaming. Next, in another development of AEC TechTV, Holobuilder offered us some tips and tricks when using 360-degree cameras on construction sites.
Hey everyone, this is Harry from the Holobuilder team. We wanted to take the opportunity to speak a little bit about 360 photo capture for construction documentation. And to make it tangible and practical, we want to speak about low-light construction environments. With me is Wesley.
Hi, I'm Wesley Ferguson. I currently work as a structures BIM lead for AECOM based out of Cape Town, South Africa.
Thank you, Wesley. Yeah, as briefly mentioned in the beginning, we're going to speak about 360 photo capture, which is often also called street view for construction, which means that you have a 360-degree coverage of your surroundings, of your construction projects. All you need is a little 360 camera that you can see on the left side, an app with which you connect to the camera and with which you can take the pictures, and a platform where you upload them so that they are securely stored in the cloud and that everyone can access your construction site when you invite them to, so that they have remote site access, just as you know it from Google Street View, but for construction sites. And yeah, as mentioned, there will be different situations, different scenarios, and here are some that Wesley has encountered in his career. And with that, I'm handing over to you, Wesley.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. So top left-hand corner, this is a typical scenario where we have to survey services of existing buildings up inside a ceiling, which is notoriously lowly lit. And there's a good example. We can see a lot of dark areas, even though there is a little bit of portable light coming in, which will be quite challenging. If we have a look at the interior space on the right-hand side, especially during construction, you may have lighting that has been installed in certain areas and not. And there we can see down the passage, it's still quite dark in there, which you aren't able to capture detail. So lighting will be important to bring in there. And exterior as well, we've got an overcast day. We're standing outside where there's a relative amount of light where we can still capture, but looking back into the building where there's no lighting whatsoever. So it creates quite a bit of contrast between the two areas and you lose a lot of detail.
Yeah, and for these different situations, you always can choose a different camera if you want to. All of the different cameras out there have a different performance in low light situations. When you visit the link down here, Holobuilder link/camera performance, you can see it for yourself. You can just open it and then the 360 view will load. You can see that you have bright light and low light conditions. And when you go over here and choose a different timestamp, you can choose a different camera model. If you spin it around a little bit, you can see the different areas with better or low light. Here is the name, the model of the camera. When you do the split screen, you can also select a different camera model. And then you will see them side by side. Can lock the view, just look around. And as you will instantly notice when you go through the different models with the timestamp, there are huge differences. For example, here you can see much more details in the darker areas. Here the images are a little bit more grainy. So yeah, this is something that we would like to encourage you to try out. Just visit this link and give it a try to see which camera fits your needs.
Yeah, some of the important features that we've started to look out for in cameras that we're purchasing for projects is the ability to balance exposure between lighter and darker areas and retaining detail. We can see on the image this was taken with one of the earlier cameras. Although it's not bad, if we had to zoom into the circled area there, you'll start to lose finer detail a lot quicker. Another thing we look for is control over ISO settings. Again, some of the earlier cameras were purely auto ISO setting, so you didn't have much control as to how much light you let in to hit the sensor. So now with the newer cameras, you are able to do that, and that just gives you a lot more control. And then again, sensor size, we've seen quite a bit of or improvement in the quality of our captures with cameras like the Z1 from Ricoh that has the larger sensor in it, which enables the photo sites on those sensors to be bigger and thus capture a lot more light per pixel. Again, some of the tips that we'll definitely recommend, and top of the list for us is a tripod. They don't have to be massive, especially tripods with a small footprint area. Remember, your camera is not very big, but you still want stability there. It'll beat handheld every day, and to get really crisp images, and especially in low light situations.
And also what you can always do is add an additional artificial light to the scene. Of course, LED and maybe with a battery is the way to go. And as you can see on the right side, there are even lights that fit between the tripod and the camera, so that you just need one piece of equipment that you put somewhere, and then as you can see in the bottom, you have your app to control the camera and to take the pictures. So this is really useful. And as you can see here, it can make a huge difference. So even if it is just such a small light, it completely changes what you're able to see in the image with or without the light. Speaking about equipment, different cameras, if you want to dive deeper, you can just visit the URL or scan the QR code to get this guide. It has all the cameras in there, the most common ones, also recommendations, which lights you can get, which tripod you can get. So yeah, just give it a look.
Yeah, this guide has been very useful. I mean, very seldom do you have an opportunity to go and test all these different cameras to find the best one before you make a purchase. And this gives you the opportunity to go and see real world capture examples on the Holobuilder platform and make your decision from there, depending on what your needs are for the project.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
That was Holobuilder's Harry Handorf and Wesley Ferguson giving their hints and tips on effective use of 360-degree cameras on construction sites. Next, Bruce Orr talks about his startup, ProNovos.
Hello, I am Bruce Orr, and I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. That's where our home office is. So ProNovos, we provide construction data analytics technology and the accompanying services that is implemented around data analytics. We also provide the services to educate our clients to help them really change their data culture. That's really our mission, is to help construction companies change their data culture. We work with general contractors and subcontractors. We don't work as much on the owner's side of the industry. We just felt that the GCs and the subs had much of a greater need for our technology and services. I would say from a tech perspective, they value the simplicity and maybe the virtual limitless capability of our technology. If you think about all of the things that you can do in Excel and all the spreadsheets that have fueled the industry, we decided to build technology that gave them that same level of flexibility, but also we wanted to ensure that we provided the advanced capability to our customers, like machine learning, narrative analytics, and a high degree of out of the box, like beautiful visualizations. Granted, I think for every company, they're in business to help customers. Sometimes it's difficult to measure that. We measure how we help customers by a quantifiable return on investment. So when we hear our customers tell us that like they were able to act on the insight that our technology provided them, and it increased their profit, it makes my day. And an example of that is I was working with a contractor in the Midwest in the US. And they, for years, have been using a particular accounting system to basically manage their costs and manage the financial component of their jobs. They were losing money on equipment and did not know that. They didn't have the visibility into specific line items on the equipment. And when they began using ProNovos, they saw that most of their equipment for particular jobs were running higher in cost than they anticipated. So when they were able to see that, they knew that they had to raise the rates in which that they were renting the equipment out, and they increased their profits. So that's an example of why we exist, and why I feel like our customers use us. We got a call from one of my favorite clients, and he said, I can't do my job without your software. And it dawned on me, like after the phone call, I just, I was just thinking about that, drinking a cup of coffee, and I was, And I felt like, wow, we're actually making a difference and making an impact to this person's life. And so I think for any software company, when they get to a place of having their users or customers unable to do their job without your software, you've done a pretty good thing. It's the people. Oh my gosh, we have, they come in all shapes, sizes, personalities. I think that it's a very unique group of people. It's very different. I've worked in the banking space. I've worked in large retail, and the AE sector is it's just fun people. They tell you what's on their minds. They're very opinionated, and they're also not. They have historically been unwilling to change, but I am now seeing that change as newer generations are sort of taking over the reign of the businesses. It's still also the fact that we're not changing at a pace that I feel could help our industry propel forward. That is my least favorite. We have companies and individuals that are somewhat sort of fixed on how things used to operate, and so they don't want to let it go. We're living in a world where the ground is essentially like changing right beneath our feet, and what we once thought was solid is no longer solid. So we have to be fluid, and we have to adopt and adapt. And I think that is the one thing that I truly dislike about the industry. And it's not really the industry as much as it is a mindset of a group of companies or individuals. And again, as I said previously, I'm excited because the newer generation and even older generation, they're starting to think about different ways of doing things because the old ways are not helping at all. I feel like if technology companies in the industry came together and worked in a more collaborative fashion, that we could help construction companies and even owners for that matter, sort of propel the industry forward. It seems like I would say it's not the industry, but it is the industry. Software companies historically have been here to support the industry, and a lot of people in the software companies, they come from the industry as well. So I think that, if we could change the mindset of just being collaborative and trying to solve problems together, we would do so much better as an industry. It's too much of a stovepipe industry. We don't want to share data, or if you get big enough, you'll have the large companies wanting to acquire you and keep that component to themselves. So I think that is the biggest thing that I'd like to change. Oh yeah, so definitely reach out to me, Bruce.orr, O-R-R, at ProNovos, that's PRONOVOS.com, or just visit us at ProNovos.com. I'd love to have a chat, and yeah.
Bruce Orr talking there about ProNovos. In our final news section, Paul has taken a quick look at 3 technology news stories.
Since July 2020, many in the architectural world have been discussing the role played by software provider Autodesk. The latest twist in the story sees concerns being raised in Brazil. Let's look back over recent developments. The conversation started after a group of 17 mainly UK-based architectural firms published an open letter to Autodesk's CEO Andrew Anagnost. Marshalled by IT consultant Ian Godwin and publicised by AEC magazine, the open letter to Autodesk Group voiced concerns about development of the Revit design authoring application. They also highlighted what they felt were increasing costs of ownership of the software and its poor support for interoperability, which hampers exchange of data with users of other solutions. And they raised issues about Autodesk's use of the data that they host in its cloud solutions. As you would expect, Autodesk responded quickly to the group's protests. A blog post appeared within 2 days, followed by a more detailed reply from Andrew Anagnost on the 17th of August. However, these responses have not pacified everybody. The open letter to Autodesk Group has continued to grow. By mid-September, the letter had been publicly backed by 118 firms, with another 48 supporting it anonymously, with signatories from across Europe. The Autodesk dissatisfaction is not just felt in the UK or Europe, and not just recently. We've learned about a similar letter in the Asia Pacific region sent 6 years ago in 2014, and dissent in South Africa around the same time. And last week, a new open letter to Autodesk emerged, this time from Brazil's National Association of Architecture and Consulting Engineers, which represents 30,000 firms. A survey of its members exposed the same issues: increased costs, lack of innovation, lack of performance, unhelpful software licensing changes, and the need for better interoperability. Only time will tell what impact these open letters have on Autodesk and on its development of Revit and its cloud services. However, they are a clear sign that many businesses feel they're being hampered by the firm, at a time when many firms also need additional flexibility to support the practical and economic challenges of working in and responding to a global pandemic. Meanwhile, one of Autodesk's competitors, Bentley Systems, has also been busy. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, like many others, it cancelled its Year in Infrastructure event set to be held in October in Vancouver, Canada. Instead, the 2020 event, which also includes a major awards programme, is being managed online. The keynote sessions from Bentley executives and guest speakers will be on the 20th and 21st of October. The Year in Infrastructure awards are also being judged online. I have been a judge for several years, and this year's project delivery and 4D digital construction categories have already been shortlisted. We will be hearing the finalist presentations online in early October, and the winners will be announced as part of the main conference later on the 21st of October. In the meantime, Bentley last week announced that around 11 million shares in the company are to be offered for sale by existing shareholders and in an initial public offering on the Nasdaq exchange in New York. With the shares target priced at £22 each, the IPO could raise over $230 million and value the company at over $5.5 billion. Finally, one event that annually showcases the latest in built environment technologies is NextBuild. For 2020, NextBuild is going virtual every afternoon for 5 days. On the 8th, 9th, then 12th to the 14th of October, NextBuild will have a 90-minute interactive session online. This year's event includes sessions on robots in construction, computational design, digital fabrication, 3D printed concrete, and real-time visualization. Organised by the publishers of AEC magazine, NextBuild will also welcome the open letter to Autodesk Group, talking about the future of digital design workflows.
Paul finished there with news of an online event in early October. World Summit on Digital Built Environment WDBE 2020 is a unique virtual event, and it starts on Tuesday, the 29th of September. Go to wdbe.org to register. And here's a video that gives you a taste of what to expect.
Thanks, Aarni, and thanks also to our contributors, to Mitch Hughes, Zulfikar Adamu, to Harry Handorf and Wesley Ferguson, and to Bruce Orr.
AEC TechTV is a weekly show. The next show is already in development, but we want your ideas and suggestions, and better still, your contributions for future shows.
Yes, please visit our website, email us, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.
And goodbye from me.